Hello, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Putty, and welcome back for another edition of Mid-Atlantic Wrestling. This is Super Showdown 2019. We are here in the Charlotte Garden, hopefully in front of 1,000 people, for Super Showdown, our March show. In the main event of the evening, we have got Ernest Youngman taking on relative newcomer Davis Wayne Newton, a continuation of his Best in the World series. Also tonight, the return of Island Boy Apollo to in-ring action. Hasn't worked the match this year, so it's good to see him back tonight. He's going to be taking on Kamikaze, and also the man formerly known as the Architect, Dewey Archer, is going to be taking on it was somebody important. It was somebody good. It's going to be El Mitico Jr., who is a semi-finalist in the Ripcord Invitational 2019. We also have to open up the show tonight a non-title match between Devil May Care, the team of Acid and Stuntman. They're going to be taking on Americana, the team of Eric Lee and American Elemental. So, let's get started with Super Showdown 2019. We're in the Charlotte Garden. Let's go. Ernest Youngman is in the interview area, and he gets on the mic, and he looks down at the interviewer, Sweet Tabitha, and he looks out to the crowd, and he says, "Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Super Showdown. Tonight I get to face one of the hottest young free agents in the business today, in Davis Wayne Newton. You know, I've seen him wrestle, and he's got that slick, he's got that fast-paced grappling style. He reminds me of me. But you know what? That's why I have an advantage tonight, because I've seen everything he can do. I've watched that tape, and in fact, I've seen everything he can do because I've done it before. And while I believe that he could be an incredibly successful professional wrestler, like me, I've got his number. I've got him scouted, and anything that he could possibly do, I'm ready for. Because I'm the wrestling machine. I'm the best there's ever been. I'm the assassin of the squared circle, and Ernest Youngman tonight continues his Best in the World series. He continues that march towards the Confederation of the Territories Heavyweight Championship of the World. And you know, if I win tonight, I think there's one more adversary that I need to face. It's an adversary that I fought before, and it's an adversary that beat me when I was at my lowest. Architect Dewey Archer. If I win tonight, I want to face you. We move into our opening contest. Match that had good wrestling and decent reaction from the crowd. Americana do indeed defeat Devil May Care. American Elemental defeating Acid by pinfall with their tag team maneuver, the American Pie. Big victory for Americana here. This is probably a very fast-paced match. You know, Americana have Eric Lee in there, who does like to brawl sometimes, but he's also got those high-flying maneuvers in him. American Elemental likes to grapple sometimes, but he's got those high-flying maneuvers in him. Meanwhile, the other team just love throwing their body at people, using their body as a weapon. This is probably a really fast-paced. You know, we get some outside of the ring brawling, maybe some cool tag team maneuvers where, like, Stuntman is brawling with Eric Lee, and then Acid just does a moonsault off the top rope or something to interrupt. Just some cool, fun, high-flying action between these two teams who've started to develop a real rivalry against each other. Of course, Kamikaze. No, wait. No. I was about to say Kamikaze helped interfered at one point, but I don't think he actually did. But I know that these two did interfere to help Americana. No, I think Kamikaze did interfere to help these two win at some point against American Elemental, but I'm not too sure. But these two definitely interfered to help Kamikaze beat American Elemental at the Ripcord Invitational 2019. And yeah, there starts to be a very personal rivalry there where Devil May Care were trying to take out Americana a couple times to really stunt the growth of this new tag team Americana. They've only been around about a year and a half, and they've really had difficulties taking off because they've had many injuries to American Elemental in that time, and it's really hurt them in the Sam Keith Classic, and then over the last couple of months, it's really hurt them taking off their tag team stripes, as it were. But tonight they finally get to wrestle in full force, their full action, and they do indeed beat the tag team champions, which almost certainly will lead to a tag team championship match at the next show. So we'll keep your eyes open for that one. Moving on, Squeaky McLean defeats Sean Carville by submission with a clean out. The usual stuff. Squeaky McLean coming to the ring, acting disgusted at the crowd. Sean Carville offers his hand, and Squeaky's like, I'm not touching that hand. I don't know where it's been. And then they have a match based around the fact that Squeaky McLean just does not like touching his opponents. He wants to just knock them out so he can get it over with and get paid, really. And Island Boy Apollo returns to in-ring action, and he loses. Yep. Kamikaze actually defeats Island Boy Apollo in 13 minutes and 47 seconds by pinfall reverse 450 splash. If you're wondering why I said it like that, it's because I remember... it's because this was intentional, but I had forgotten. So yeah, Island Boy's back with that hearty, that high octane, energetic, electrifying, brawling action. And he tries to take it to Kamikaze. He tries to brawl in him. He tries to wear him down and brutalize him. But Kamikaze, in kind of a similar way to Scythe, will not die, because Kamikaze doesn't care. He's willing to put his body on the line and use his body as a weapon. And the style of Island Boy Apollo, just to wear people down with attrition, doesn't work against Kamikaze, because he'll take that attrition and he'll keep fighting. Kamikaze picks up the win with a reverse 450 splash. And afterwards, Island Boy Apollo gets on the mic. He says, I lost tonight to a strong competitor, and I'd like to congratulate Kamikaze. A year ago, I beat Kamikaze when he was still searching for a contract, and I thought he should get signed. And although I don't like Kamikaze, I disagree with his methods, I can't help but respect Kamikaze. And ever since being signed, he has done some great things here in Mid-Atlantic Wrestling. Despite defeat tonight, I think I'm still owed a rematch against the Mid-Atlantic Regional Heavyweight Champion, Scythe. And I want it. I want that rematch. I think I'm ready for it. I think I'm ready for that rematch. I think I'm ready to get my Mid-Atlantic Championship back. And Vinny Cruz comes out and he says, after losing against a guy like Kamikaze, I wouldn't usually grant you a title match against my client. But sadly, it's not about what I want. It's about what Scythe wants. And Scythe enjoyed playing with you at Where It All Begins Again. He enjoyed your little match. So Scythe has asked me to accept your title shot, and so I will. So next show, April 22nd, you can have your title match. But me, I don't think you're ready. And we move on, I think, to Dewey Archer taking on Almetico Jr. with some quick, fast-paced, technical wrestling. Both these guys really adept in the slick, hold-for-hold, escapist-style pro wrestling. And Dewey Archer, obviously, becoming a master of it, and another notch on his belt, really, fighting against El Mitico Jr., a semi-finalist in the Ripcord Invitational this year. And the two of them just trade some really fast-paced stuff, hold-for-hold. El Mitico trying to work on the left arm of Dewey Archer, trying to shut down that proton lock. We've talked about it before. He can lock in the leg part of the proton lock all he wants, and it'll be dangerous. Sure, it'll be nasty and it'll hurt, but it's really that choke part of the proton lock that really puts people out. That really makes it the most dangerous submission hold possibly we've ever seen here in Mid-Atlantic Wrestling. So I do think it's worth working on that left arm. Meanwhile, Dewey Archer, of course, working on the right leg, trying to make sure that proton lock is easier to lock in, trying to make sure that those legs hurt as much as possible. Because, if El Mitico does end up working on that arm enough, so that Dewey can't lock in the full proton lock, if he's got those legs worked down, if he's put out those legs out of commission, he might still be able to achieve that pinfall victory. And that's exactly what happens. El Mitico, he's an expert at technical wrestling, and he manages to put that left arm out of commission. Dewey Archer tries to go for the proton lock pretty early on, and he realizes that he won't be able to lock it in fully. And so he kind of transitions into kind of a sharpshooter-esque thing with the proton lock, and he just keeps working down that leg, and he adapts. And that was a really strong showing here from Dewey Archer, because he showed that even when his plan A goes wrong, even when his plan A doesn't work, he's always got that plan B in his back pocket. He's always got a plan B ready to go. And that's what he shows tonight. He uses plan B and he manages to pick up the victory with a kind of modified proton lock, which is a very impressive victory from Dewey Archer here tonight. I think we've got an angle next. If not, it's time for the main event. We haven't got an angle next. As Dewey Archer, tired and sweaty, goes to the promo booth and he says, Ernest, I've been watching you doing this Best in the World series. And I gotta say, I don't know. You've been impressive. You do look like you are stronger and you are better than last year, but I've always believed that the people have their peak. They have their highest moment, and it's only downhill from there. And I gotta say, your heavyweight championship of the world reign was your peak. It was your highest moment. There's no doubt in that, and I think you're gonna continue to fall. So you know what? I relish in the opportunity to get another victory over a highly ranked member of the Confederation of the Territory, so I accept. If you win tonight, I will wrestle you in a couple months. In May, we will have our match, because I'm not going to do it in April. There's a title match in April, and we deserve the main event. You know we do. Everyone knows we do. So I tell you what, in May I will wrestle you. In May I will beat you again, and I will show why I am the greatest technical wrestler of all time. I'm the A-lister. I'm number one on the billing on every night. I'm Dewey Archer. And you ain't got no chance. So we move on to the main event. It is Ernest Youngman against Davis Wayne Newton. Davis Wayne Newton, a fast-paced grappler, high-flyer, brawler. He can do it all. From Canada, rising up the ranks in professional wrestling today. I think he's been wrestling for over 10 years. I think he's 31 years old. And he is a veteran of the independent scene. He hasn't come here to Mid-Atlantic Wrestling at all, if ever. But he's been able to make his mark on many other wrestling promotions in the world, and tonight is his chance to show the world what he's got. He's going to be taking on possibly the greatest wrestler. We've had guys who are more full packages, who have been more successful, but on paper, if you look at his ability and his physical attributes, I think Ernest Youngman might be the best pure wrestler in Mid-Atlantic Wrestling, recent history, last 10 years or so, or maybe 5 years or so. And for Davis Wayne Newton, it's an absolutely huge opportunity. For Ernest, he's still got to keep proving himself. He's getting back there. He's getting back to the point where he is confident that he is the guy. But he's still got a long way to go. That's the whole point of this series, is to wrestle some of the best in the world and see if he can do it. And in tonight's main event, he gets to wrestle Davis Wayne Newton. And let's see how it goes. In a 70C+, and about to have good wrestling and decent reaction from the crowd, Ernest Youngman defeated Davis Wayne Newton by submission with a crossface chicken wing. Very good stuff from these two. Ernest Youngman continues to get better from a shoot perspective, and in a kayfabe perspective, continues to get better. Very good match between these two. We've got that not high flying, but that quick paced technical wrestling in this match, and that's what it is. It's a technical wrestling match. Ernest Youngman tries to impose himself really early on Davis Wayne Newton, and the triple threat Davis Wayne Newton, and he tries to set it to his tempo. He starts to try and make it about Ernest Youngman's wrestling in the first 5 minutes. He tries to work down that right arm, which he uses. That right arm is usually the weakness Ernest will exploit to lock in that crossface chicken wing, but he works down that right arm. He starts kicking at it. He starts trying to. Whenever Davis tries to get some momentum going, Ernest will hit an arm drag or a throw across the ring and just lock in, just trying to pull back that right arm, try and bend it in unusual shapes, just trying to make it uncomfortable for Davis Wayne Newton, working those fingers, working the digits, making sure. That's the thing about Ernest Youngman sometimes. He's a good guy, I think. I think a lot of fans get behind him. He is inspiring in a lot of ways, but he is nasty in the ring. And he will work those digits, and he will try. One of his big MOs, for sure, in his matches is that he wants the opponent to be uncomfortable as much as possible during the match, and that's exactly what he does against Davis Wayne Newton. If he can make his opponent uncomfortable the entire match, then that means he's got control. He's got control of the match, and that's exactly what he does here. He just makes Davis Wayne Newton uncomfortable. He tries to control the match, but eventually Davis Wayne Newton can get that momentum going, and Davis has a lot more about him than the pure mat work that Ernest Youngman tends to employ. Davis has those drop kicks, that fast-paced striking style that means that he can throw Ernest off a bit, and after a little while he does manage to throw Ernest off a bit. And once he's created that opening, he's created that advantage, he's changed the pace, he's changed the conditions of the test, he starts working in his own technical style, his faster-paced technical style. And he knows if he can, he's probably not going to put the crossface chicken wing out of commission, so he's just working on the head. He's trying to choke out Ernest Youngman. He's trying to put him in in a place where he just doesn't know where he is. He's trying to rattle his cage a bit, trying to shake him, trying to hit those strikes, combining those strikes, those high-flying maneuver strikes with those with a grappling style to just try and wear Ernest down, trying to put him out. And it doesn't quite work. You know, he's able to impose his style on the match for some degree, for sure. Because for the last half of this match, it's definitely a Davis Wayne Newton match. Ernest Youngman cannot reestablish control, but Ernest Youngman is more than willing to work a Davis Wayne Newton match. You know, every time Davis tries to work, you know, grind him down, try to put him out, Ernest is able to escape from those holds and float over into something of his own design, float over into another hold of some sort of nasty, maybe he hits a triangle choke at some point, and you know, catches Davis Wayne off guard, and he's stuck in this dangerous, deadly, match-ending maneuver of some sorts. And Davis obviously has to try and then get out of that. And it's just a reminder that Ernest Youngman is able to do ridiculous things in any style of match. And in the end, Ernest Youngman does lock in that crossface chicken wing, which has become one of the most feared submission maneuvers across the territories. And Davis Wayne Newton does pass out. Doesn't submit, but he does pass out. And Ernest Youngman continues his winning streak. And I think this was a really good show in-game. Good bookends there. So I hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, please leave a thumbs up. Check out the rest of the series. Subscribe if you haven't already. If you're feeling especially generous and really enjoyed the episode, go ahead and check out the link to my Patreon. The link is in the description. If you want to have creative input in the series or just want to hear me ramble or talk about when videos are going to be out, it's pretty much always 10 o'clock GMT/BST, depending on... It's currently BST as I'm recording this. By the time you're seeing this, it might be GMT, although I think BST lasts for a while, so I don't know. But, yep, the link to my Twitter is also in the description. Next episode is, I believe, Americana. We've got a main event announced already. It is, of course, going to be Island Boy Apollo getting his rematch against Scythe. You know, he claims he's ready. He claims that he is ready for his rematch against Scythe, but he lost tonight. He's coming into that title match on a losing streak. Not many people do that. And, you know, Vinny Cruz is looking at Scythe, at Island Boy Apollo, saying he's not ready. But Scythe enjoyed their match at Where It All Begins Again and wants a rematch. So he's getting it. I guess we'll just have to see how it goes, I guess. Also, we have the Tag Team Championship match between Devil May Care and Americana. My apologies for being so long on that one. And also, next month at Americana... where Americana are getting a title shot. This is the first time I think Americana are wrestling at Americana, so it's going to be a little confusing, I'm sure. Maybe I'll change the name of the... I'm going to change the name of that tag team because it's caused me a lot of confusion over the last year. Because of course, American Elemental, one of his gimmicks is Americana. That's his Japanese name, and so that's been confusing me a lot. So I'm just going to change their name to American Dream, I think, and yeah. That'll be what I'll change it to. But yeah, so we'll get American Dream, the newly renamed American Dream, taking on Devil May Care in a Tag Team Championship match. And I can announce that we are going to be getting an appearance from the World's Tag Team Champions, one of the best tag teams in the history of MAW, Dynamite Express, who of course have been notably absent since December. They made an agreement to hold on to those tag team titles and defend them across the territories, and they have. They've made 5 defenses of their World Tag Team Championship so far. They're on a really good roll. And we're going to be seeing them next month, in MAW. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you guys for Americana. If you do join me, then I will be honored, and I will see you guys then. Peace out.